Hi, everybody. I know it's been a while since I've been on, a good couple weeks or so. Um, I had to take a little break because there was kind of an emergency situation going on with my mother. Um, she's being tested for dementia and um, trying to figure out what kind she has because there's different kinds. And maybe it doesn't matter what kind it is, but we want to know as a family so we can make sure she has the best medication and treatment that to help her prolong it or to stave it off as long as possible. So, in a lot of my videos, I talk about, trying to keep boundaries and to keep your own mental health while not trying to let other people's issues interfere with your life and bring you down and all that. So, a lot of that has been about my own experience of what's been going on. Sometimes with dementia, it's not what you think it is. I always thought somebody with dementia would just be like clueless. Where am I? Who are you? What's going on? I don't know anything that's going on. But it's not really like that. She's sharp in a lot of areas and doesn't forget things, but she can be very aggressive and argumentative with my dad, and that has them, fighting a lot. So they just start fighting, and it's not fun. It's not pretty. It's very stressful. And we as a family have to figure out how to navigate this situation, try to do the best that we can to try to see if there's certain medicines that will, calm her down. So she did have an incident where my dad didn't know what to do, so he called the police. And I'm sharing this with you because maybe if you think you have toxic parents, say you're in your 50s or 40s like me, and your parents are older, they're in their 70s and above, and they are just very toxic and very draining and very nasty and selfish and mean, you know, um, it may be a clue that something else is going on. And I'm starting to figure that out, that something else is going on and it's not just them being that way. So that was one of the signs that I had with my parents was constant arguing, constant bickering, fighting, being really mean to each other, being nasty. They're in their mid to late 70s, which I think is still kind of young. And I don't think that that's particularly old. To me, that's mid to late 80s. But everybody's bodies age differently, and everybody has different situations going on as they get older. So that's been my situation going on. So my dad, when she gets out of control and starts fighting a lot, um, he calls the cops, and that's not really what the cops are for. I understand that, you when things start to get violent, you don't want it to progress, so your first instinct may be to call the cops. Well, they're really not going to solve the situation because what are they really going to do? They're not the problem solvers. They could just ship you off to the ER or her off to the ER, or once she's there, they have to make a decision of what's going to happen. So, what do they do with you? They keep you overnight for observation. Then they decide that they want to ship you to another hospital, and that's what happened to her. She went to another hospital which was not close to home. It was kind of far away. And she was shipped there for observation for 2 weeks. And I have to tell you, in those 2 weeks, she was pretty much just drugged up. So I understand the need to give patients like this medication to calm them down, because I guess if you have a bunch of people all aggressive and acting up, that's not going to be safe or pretty in the other hospital for the workers and for the other patients. But my mother was allowed visitors, and I did visit a couple times, and she was just drugged up. And I would call pretty much every night to talk to her. She was allowed to have phone calls, and same thing, just drugged up, talking about she was at the movies and my dad was in a car accident, and my kids were there, my grandchild was there running around. So just pretty much like, gibberish, nonsense, things that aren't really happening. So yeah, I just, wanted to kind of share what I've been going through lately, and just kind of, let you know my experience, that here I am trying to enforce my boundaries, to have a healthy boundary for myself, so I don't let, other people's arguing, constant bickering. Everything's a fight, everything's drama, everything is a big deal. Like, nothing is smooth. And my own home life is not like that at all. My husband and I, we're pretty peaceful and we have a pretty quiet life. So it was important to me to try to protect that. But this also shed some light on the situation, that I really need to keep an eye on them and observe and kind of really check in more, because cognitive changes can happen and you may not be aware of it. You may not even notice it. Excuse me. It can pretty much happen very quickly. So, yeah, I'll keep you guys posted. So that's just, a challenge that I've been going through, and I'm trying to stay positive for myself and my kids, and, my own peace of mind, while also looking out for my parents and making sure that they're safe and making the best decisions for them. And, it's not easy. Nobody trains you for a situation like this. Nobody tells you what to do. Nobody says, be on the lookout for this. You just see certain, how many of us know grumpy older people, where all they do is complain and argue and fight, and everything is a big deal and dramatic, and, just very draining mentally on you. So that's just something that in my family has been kind of a warning sign that something else is going on. So just wanted to share that with you, and I will update you more as I know more. She has to get an MRI next week, which will, it might say what's going on, but it might not as well, depending. But it may help decide what meds are the best for her. Is she on the best meds now, or does she need something different? So that's basically where we are right now and what we're trying to do. So try to keep my channel very positive, try to keep my channel very, inspirational for other people that may be going through things. But this was something that was weighing heavily on me, and, kind of cutting into my own, personal time, personal thoughts. Everything has been one big stress ball, very worried. So I'm really working on myself as well to help navigate through this. And there's no shame in going to therapy. I'm going to start that next week. And because I need help navigating the situation. Because, like I said, you know, nobody teaches us how to do this. Nobody prepares you for it. It's just expected that you're going to handle it. And everything that's been a certain way your whole life, the whole status quo of your life, all of a sudden gets interrupted, and there's just a new personality to deal with, and changes and issues. So not to mention appointments that you have to run around and go with them, because they it's hard for them to do all the appointments on their own. So yeah, just something that's been going on, and just wanted to share that. And if you guys have any stories of anybody in your family that was diagnosed with anything like that, and what their first symptoms were that made you kind of wonder what the heck's going on, something's different, something more is going on. I would love to hear it, because to me it's just educational, and it teaches me more, and it's good for me and for others maybe to share their experiences, so we can compare stories and compare outcomes and treatments and what have you. So that's it. I just wanted to share that, and I want to be sharing more with you, because this is my creative outlet and I enjoy it, and I don't want to give up things that I enjoy just because something else is going on in my family that needs my help. I'm still, I still deserve to enjoy things that I enjoy. So with that, everybody have a great night, and I look forward to your comments, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good night.